All right, let's try a little exercise. I want you to think about what you ate today. Go on, I'll wait. Because I can almost guarantee you've completely overlooked the single most important and, frankly, the most fragile food on the entire planet. Yes, you heard me correctly. You are ingesting, probably with great enthusiasm, a substance that is literally classified as an instrument of war under international law. And you almost certainly paid extra for it in your little boba tea. I am, of course, talking about cassava. You know it as tapioca or fufu or gari. It's a fundamental staple crop for nearly 1 billion people. And it is actively, aggressively trying to kill you with a very, very famous poison. That's right. The plant is just loaded with hydrogen cyanide. The moment something, like you, tries to take a bite, the plant cells rupture and boom, they release this toxin. It is a brilliant, if not completely terrifying defense mechanism. You know, what's really fascinating here is the escalation. A plant like horseradish, it just wants to annoy you. It burns your sinuses, basically a polite request to be left alone. Cassava, on the other hand, it skips all the pleasantries and goes straight for the kill. To even make it edible, it requires days of careful, painstaking work just to leach the poison out. A rather tedious affair, wouldn't you say? But here's the truly absurd part. The chemical weapon? That's not even the main threat. Oh no, the real problem is far more fundamental, almost a biological joke. Cassava has a glitch. It has forgotten how to have sex. Just let that sink in for a second. Every plant, in every field, across this entire globe is genetically identical. A perfect copy of a perfect copy of a perfect copy. You see, for generations, farmers have relied on something called vegetative propagation. It's simple. You just take a cutting from one plant and you stick it in the ground to grow a new one. This completely bypasses sexual reproduction, so you get no mixing of genes, no adaptation, certainly no evolution. You just get endless, perfect, vulnerable copies. And let's be clear, we did this. Humans. We selected for the biggest, fastest-growing roots, and in doing so, we created a genetic dead end. It's the exact same sterility trap that gave us the seedless banana. By optimizing for just one trait, we broke the plant's ability to survive on its own. It is now utterly, completely dependent on us. So let me ask you a question. If you knew every single bite of food you took was a perfect genetic match to the last, would that sound like a secure food source to you, or would it sound like a ticking time bomb, an open invitation for total disaster? Now, to understand how we got ourselves into this mess, you have to look at how this incredibly fragile plant became one of the most important crops on Earth. Because you see, cassava isn't even native to Africa, where it is now the basic food for hundreds of millions of people. It was brought over from South America back in the 16th century by Portuguese traders. The very same colonial trade routes that moved gold and spices and people also moved plants. They fundamentally reshaped entire ecosystems and diets, often by just sheer bumbling accident. And the reason it took hold so well is its unbelievable resilience. Cassava is a pioneer species. That means it can grow in soil so depleted, so nutrient-poor that basically any other crop would just wither and die. It became a food of absolute survival because, well, it was often the only thing that would grow.
And that very reliability, that total dependence on this one tough-as-nails plant, that is what led us directly into what I like to call the extinction loop. Allow me to explain how it works.
First, you start with an entire global crop that is, as we've established, genetically identical. Which, of course, means there is absolutely zero genetic diversity, no variation whatsoever, no natural resistance hiding in the gene pool. Then all it takes is a single new virus or a fungus that evolves, one that just so happens to have the specific key to unlock the defenses of that one single genetic code. And that is the end result. If one plant is vulnerable, they are all vulnerable. It's not like a fire spreading slowly through a field, it's like a switch being flipped everywhere, all at once. Global crop failure, extinction. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, why on earth would our global food system encourage this kind of catastrophic risk? And the answer, as it so often is, comes down to predictability and profit. The modern agricultural market absolutely loves clones. Just think of those pink pineapples. They're sterilized so you can't just plant the top and grow your own, or patented golden kiwis. See, clones are predictable. They're uniform in size and weight and ripening time, which makes them just perfect for shipping manifests and grocery store shelves. We have actively, consciously chosen short-term predictability over long-term survival.
So how do we fix this? Is it even possible? How do we break this extinction loop? Well, it requires going back to basics, thinking less like a global shipping clerk and more like a survivor. There is a workflow.
1. The cutting exchange. People have to share cuttings between villages and regions to maintain what little variety still exists. 2. The processing. Don't forget the ancient, hard-won wisdom required to remove the cyanide. 3. Root storage. These swollen roots are the plant's energy reserves. Store them correctly. And 4, and this is the most important one, diversification. Stop relying on a single plant. Plant other resilient crops right alongside it.
Because this is what our global food system actually looks like. We are balancing our very survival on a tiny handful of genetically uniform pillars. It is an agricultural house of cards, and believe me, the wind is picking up.
So let me just summarize the sheer, unadulterated madness of this entire situation for you. We took a plant that manufactures a chemical weapon from South America. We shipped it across the ocean, we cloned it into oblivion until it became sterile, and then we made it the foundational food source for an entire continent.
Now that's absolutely wild.